Hello everybody, I'm Tone and welcome back to The Breakdown. Today is day 19 of my self-imposed house arrest against the mask mandate. Because nope, I'm not going to wear one. And today we've got a number of things I would like to cover. Doesn't seem to ever end. We always have more and more things to cover to do with this. First thing that I want to cover is first a shout out and a thank you to Reese, who has made a comment on my day 16 video. And I encourage comments, I encourage interaction. I really encourage that. I'm very thankful for that because it adds something, some flavour, I guess, to the channel and brings up some discussion points. But as I've spoken about in this whole series so far, I don't know everything, and I don't have the audacity either to claim that I know that there is or isn't COVID, for example. I know that there's some untruth going on, and that's the point to this channel. The untruth, for example, that masks will protect you from catching COVID. Now, if it indeed exists, well, that then comes to what you believe and what you can see going on around you. I don't know anybody that's had COVID, and I don't know anyone that knows anybody that's had COVID, and that makes me a little skeptical in some ways about how far and wide it actually has gone. And makes me skeptical about the numbers that they tell us, whether people are not actually died from COVID or some other pre-existing thing. But I don't have the audacity to say that it doesn't exist. So I think all I would like to say directly to you, Reese, is firstly, thank you for your comment. But I wouldn't say that I can be classed as a moron or an idiot in terms of claiming any outright strategy to thinking about these things, or outright opinion on this stuff with knowledge to know that there is no COVID, or there definitely is COVID, and any of these aspects. I only look at it how it looks like, and I bring reasoning into it to suggest that it can't be all this way and it can't all be this way either. And that's why I was calling those on this side who were going and not wearing a mask and fighting Goliath on his terms, Goliath being the government and the law, that is idiocy. That is being a moron. But looking at these things in a balanced way, that's anything but being a moron. So with all due respect, Reese, no, I would not class my opinion based on a good grasp of the facts and what's actually out there to see and hear and weigh up. I don't think that's a moron attitude at all that I've got. But anyway, look, that you're entitled to your opinion, and if anything that I've said has offended anybody, go back, look at what I'm talking about, how it's all come together since then, and indeed look at other stuff that I'm not even talking about. Make up your own mind. But if anything that I'm saying offends you, even after looking at all of that stuff, then perhaps go and have a look at my If You're Offended video, though I'm sure that will help you out, because I speak about it there, that if something offends you, you need to figure out what's offensive about it. And if, I'm wrong and you can prove that I'm wrong, then I don't see any reason why you need to be offended by what I'm saying. So that said, thank you so much for your correspondence. Now, I'll get to some push-ups, and then we'll get on to the next point. So it's a little hard to believe, but currently heading for almost 3 weeks of this self-imposed lockdown. It's quite hard to believe that it's gone so quickly, actually. Whew. Okay. Now, if we want to go down this thinking about what is actually a rather moron kind of thing to be doing, on television tonight, they had a segment on the news or a current affair or whatever it was, and they were showing how by wearing a mask, if you sneezed or you coughed, you wouldn't get any droplets on a little palette thing that you can look at under a microscope. And then, of course, did the same thing, same person, no mask, another one, achoo, quite ridiculous. And then, used all this data and said, okay, so we can see that the mask stopped the droplets and, reduces the risk in that way. Well, duh. That's not the point about whether or not a mask works. Of course, it catches the droplets from coming out. And providing you are replacing every mask after you've used it and you get another one for each time, then of course the mask can be effective in preventing it from transmitting to another person. And that's not just coronavirus, that's any illness, any viral illness that's in here, come out, it catches in the mask. Okay, we got that. The trouble comes when people who have no knowledge or experience or training in PPE don't handle that mask correctly, don't wash their hands or don't use sanitizer properly, everything like that. The mask actually catches and then can, depending on who touches that mask afterwards, if it's not disposed of properly, etc., etc. And of course, it doesn't discount the fact that people touch their face underneath the mask, touch their mask while they're out shopping because they've got to readjust it because it doesn't stay in place and all that sort of thing. And then contaminated hands, and they don't know they're contaminated because they don't know that they've got it yet because they're asymptomatic. And voila, the mask is now almost next to pointless. But we're not talking about that in the current affair thing, are we? No. We're just talking about, hey, the mask catches your spit if you sneeze or cough. Well, duh. I mean, we know that. But yet, that doesn't discount the other aspects of this mask wearing thing that aren't accounted for and show that it... Anyway, I'm sure you can follow where I'm going with that. It's like flogging a dead horse. It's not going to do anything. You either know or you don't know. You either get it by now or you don't. But they keep pushing this stuff on the television and it's ridiculous. Now, today's cases was down at around 300 or something, 300 and something. Didn't look at the numbers because, as I said, I'm not convinced that the numbers are accurate enough to follow them. That's what they're telling us the numbers are, and we'll just leave it at that. But apparently the numbers are coming down. But of course you hear the people on the news talking about, hey, this might not necessarily be the end of it. And they've been talking about that for a long time. Now, if you hear that kind of conversation, you can pretty well bet your bottom dollar that it's not the end of it, and this is going to continue on and drag on for quite a long time yet, because that's just the language they're using. They're giving this false sense of hope when they know that this is going to continue. And it's going to continue because We've got stage 4 lockdown and people are still going out into supermarkets and people are still going to work to some degree. People outside driving everywhere. They keep showing these empty streets. Well, I tell you what, I have friends who are still doing essential services and those sorts of things here in Melbourne, and they say there are people everywhere still. There are still people going out. They're wearing the mask, sure, but they're still at stage 4. What now? This is going to continue to drag on because we haven't had a hard and fast lockdown. 6 weeks is going to become 2 months, is going to become 3 months if we don't get it under control. That's what they're telling us, right? But they're not doing enough to get it under control. Now, I know for anyone out there that's saying, well, hey, there is no virus. All right, remember I said if you want to fight against the fact that they're pushing this agenda and there is no virus, doing nothing, just stay at home, right? Either live off your own savings or live off of the government. The government's going to give money to people who have job seeker and job keeper and whatever. Take advantage of the government because they're already going to draw on this debt. We all know where the debt's coming from, but they're all drawing on the debt. So just get it, but save the money. You don't have to spend it. You can get it. You're eligible to it. Spend it on the bare essentials you need to. Stay at home and limit your spending as much as possible. Eventually, if what you believe is true, the economy slows down so much because enough people do that, you get the result you want. Everything has to open up, and it starts to expose the cracks in the story. And of course, on the flip side, as I've already said, if the virus is real but everyone stays at home, of course, people stop getting sick because it stops getting transmitted. And forget about this mask thing. Stay at home. That's the removal of 100% of the risk. Staying at home. It really is simple. The truth usually falls halfway in between the two extremes that any side wants to talk about. Anyone who has the audacity to say that it does completely exist or it doesn't at all exist, and, they want to fight Goliath on his terms, you think you can win? Look, get this. Just a slight little sidetrack, but still related. Today on the news, they're talking about parking inspectors still out there booking people for leaving their cars parked in the same place. There's supposedly limited foot traffic and limited car traffic. So why would it matter if you stayed in the park for 2 hours when it says 1 hour? Who's going to come along and need the park? Well, here's the thing. This exposes another thing that I think everyone was already suspecting. But it's true. Those parking ticket thing, that whole process, it's only revenue raising. And they're screwed without that revenue. So they need people to be overstaying in those parking spaces. But if everyone was doing what they should be doing and staying at home, whose car is in the car park for too long to have to pay a fine? But they've got parking inspectors. Essential services, huh? I'll leave that one right there because I'm sure you get that. So, what are we looking at here? Some say a conspiracy. And I've already said that this kind of stuff that they're laying down the law with at the moment, yes, that is the strategy coming. And it is eventually going to get here. But it only has power because we, the people, give it power. We're giving them oxygen. We're giving them oxygen by falling right into what they want us to do. They want us to wear a mask. And they tell us to stay home. But then they say, if you do need to be out, you can go out. So now you're allowed to go out on their terms. And that's the point. It's got nothing to do with the mask in particular. It's got to do about going out and doing the things that you want to do on their terms. So how about doing things on your terms? Don't go out. Limit your spending. Expose the fake economy that's going on right now. You think the All Ordinaries Index at 6,000 plus is an indicator of where our country really is right now? The share market is being exposed horribly. Like, America is actually worse than us. The Dow Jones is worse than us. But there's the point. Okay, you want to see how fake everything is. Look at how the share market has held up during this. Yeah, sure, it crashed off. But it came back based on what? We're nowhere near where we were beforehand. And yet, hey, everything seems to be all right. Check out my video also on are you guarding against your wealth being stolen? And I discuss gold and silver in that video. That's well worth a watch. Since I brought that video out, silver's gone up from about $25 an ounce to plus 40. It's dropped back a little bit, and gold is on a rip tear as well. But that's something to bear in mind. Do things on your terms. By staying at home, I'm doing things on my terms. They're not controlling me. I'm choosing to stay at home. I'm choosing not to wear the mask. I'm not fighting them on their terms. And that's the main thing. If you can get this message out to enough people, you're far bigger than Goliath, but you are not now on his terms. Okay? You're not fighting the government on the terms that they're controlling. You might look at it and think that it's some sort of torture, as Johnny G, I think, on the same video, the 16th day video, day 16, he mentioned that it's like a form of torture. But here's the thing. It's only torture if you can't see the other side. And there is another side to this, right? There is the other side to this. And that is that if everyone united enough, we would expose it for what it really is. We would get to the bottom of it. Now, getting out there and being some sort of victimist type, riotist type, protesting openly and loudly type, you're actually giving them the power. You're handing it over to them because they have the power already. You're not going to remove it from them. But by asphyxiating them, giving them nothing to talk about, choking the air supply off, that gets a result. So, share this video to anybody that you think would get what I'm trying to talk about to you, and start a movement. All right? Start just staying at home. Limit your spending as much as possible. Draw on whatever resources you've got and stay at home. Stop spending. Start doing something that you've always wanted to do so that you can fill up your time and you have something to do. But by all means, let's starve these bozos of their oxygen. And if by chance, some of the details that they're talking to us about this virus are actually true, and to the extent that they're talking about, then we're going to get rid of the virus as well. And that's the simple truth of it. It lies halfway in the middle. Regardless of what extreme view you might necessarily hold, the result is going to be found by doing exactly the same thing. And don't view it as torture. View it as actually doing what they're telling you to do, even though they don't really want you to be doing that. So do it. they're doing some sort of reverse psychology in this to some extent. By doing what they're actually asking you to do is not necessarily what they want you to do. And it'll end so much sooner than what they can justify. They can continue to justify that this extends on and on and on and on. The more you fight it in this way, or the more that you continue to think that the mask is protecting you and you're going out and you're doing, both ways are going to extend this beyond our dreams, beyond our nightmares, I should say. It's not a dream. By limiting how much time you're out. If everybody did that, sure, the economy's going to take a hit, but we'll expose what actually is the truth in all of this by doing this method. And if indeed people are dying at the numbers that they're saying, we limit that too. I would say that that's a plus on every angle. Anyway, I think that's about all for tonight, for day 19. We're 2 days off from 3 weeks in. I hope what I've been sharing has been of value to all of you silent majority of watchers out there who watch these videos and aren't commenting. By all means, if you have opposing views, bring them to my attention. But just understand that there's always going to be so many different angles that we can look at these things. And let's not be quite so audacious than to think that there isn't COVID, because that's playing with fire. But I'm also not going to be audacious and say that there isn't an element of control that is most certainly being brought in here, that we need to keep our eyes and ears open and keep our attention on. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. I noticed I had a dislike, and that's fine. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to speak truth and logic. So, but yeah, like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe. That would help me out a great deal. Thank you to everyone who already has subscribed. That's brilliant. Share the video to anyone that you think might find it interesting or helpful or encouraging. I'm still looking into that Twitch idea. Haven't got to that yet, but I will give you some details on that when that comes around. Yeah, take care of each other, take care of yourself. We can win against this, but on our terms, not theirs. And until tomorrow, God bless. Bye for now.